Hello everybody, what is up? Moses here, bringing you another Path of Exile video guide. This time we're talking about the Whispering Ice. Now, Whispering Ice is a pretty nice staff. I've been turning those in, you know, those divination cards for the Whispering Ice drop constantly in the Shaped Spider Forest and Spider Forest, of course. And we've been farming that Headhunter, and we got that one yesterday. So I've been dropping these constantly, and I never really looked until I did, and then I tried it, and that skill, I mean, is in fact pretty cool, you know. But we're not going to be using it as self cast. We're going to be using it with cast while channeling. So yeah, let's talk about the build. First of all, the weapon grants you this level 1 Ice Storm skills, also increased cast speed and increased intelligence, as well as 1% increased spell damage per 10 intelligence. So we are going to be stacking up on as much intelligence as we possibly can stack, as the damage will increase the more intelligence we have. So basically, recommended uniques for the build would be Astromentis, which will give us the most possible intelligence for this particular slot, as well as Black Sun Crest. Here I was focused on 15% increased intelligence, as it is the max roll, as well as 15% increased strength, as you know, more strength equals more life. And yeah, the nice thing about the build is that it's a very nice build to start off the league with, because you can get a 6-socketed Whispering Ice without too much of a problem, and the build does not require you to have a 6-linked as an end game version of the build. Only 6 sockets. The only links you will be needing are Scorching Ray and Cast While Channeling, which is really nice. So it will save you a lot. You know, beginning of the league, everybody's like super low on currency, so this will be a super cool starting build for a league start. When it comes to Calm's Heart, I mean, you can use it, but it's not required. It's just gonna give you more life and more fire damage. Now let's talk about the build and how we utilize. First of all, we want as much intelligence as we possibly can get on every one of our item slots. We're just gonna try and get as much intelligence as we possibly can. Here we go. On every slot we got a bunch of intelligence. When it comes to the rest of the gear, other than the helm, chest, two-handed staff of course, and the Astromentis, we're going to be using rares with just as much intelligence as we possibly can. When it comes to the belt, belts are only able to be crafted with intelligence with essences. Not entirely sure which is the one that gives us increase. There's the one, Screaming Essence. It doesn't have to be, yeah, Shrieking or Deafening will be the better choices of bonus to intelligence, but it's the Essence of Spite that you're looking for when you want to craft the belt. Of course, we want to get as much life as we can, the resistances that we need. Yeah, so the build itself, let's talk about the items. So we got Scorching Ray and Cast While Channeling. That will trigger the Whispering Ice. So when we're channeling Scorching Ray, we will trigger Whispering Ice, and we have a full conversion of cold to fire. So we get cold to fire support gem, as well as elemental focus, concentrated effect, and fire penetration. Now the Whispering Ice itself, of course, the cold skill, but we're going to be using the Avatar of Fire that will convert 50% of physical cold and lightning damage straight into fire damage, as well as the cold to fire will convert 50% of cold damage into fire. So our Whispering Ice will in fact deal 100% of fire damage, but it will be able to be scaled with cold damage, cold damage, fire damage, as well as area damage, spell damage, all those type of things. So we're looking for jewels, for, well, damage jewels. We're going to be looking at conversion of strength with brute force solution, converting strength into intelligence in a radius. So we're going to get a bunch of intelligence from these nodes right here. Yeah, over here as well, we got another brute force solution to be able to convert all these strength into intelligence. Okay, we're going to have dexterity to intelligence with fertile mind. It's going to be able to allow us to convert a bunch of these dexterity nodes right here. And yeah, other than that, we got a bunch of life nodes from the you know, Templar area over here, Witches area, Shadow area, and the Scion, as well as the Marauder himself. When it comes to the class, you would, you know, initially think, hey, okay, I'm making a caster, why not making it a witch, right? So the deal is, we're not making a witch because we're making a Berzerker Marauder. Berzerker has really nice node called Pain Reaver, which gives us 1% of damage leached as life and 1% of damage leached as mana. So that means it's not only going to be working with physical damage, like most, or I believe all leech in the game is physical damage converted to life, or leached as life, but all damage, which means also spell damage, which makes Marauder very nice, even though it looks a little bit funny, this, you know, big guy throwing spells. But like the leech is quite amazing as well, with cloaked in savagery, that gives us increased damage when we take in a savage hit, as well as, of course, aspect of carnage. These are the three major nodes in the ascendancy. They're going to be useful for us. This gives us a little bit of attack speed and move speed. The baby nodes, a little bit of attack speed, a little bit of attack speed. Of course, physical damage does not work. So these, like baby nodes and this Crave the Slaughter, are not really helpful for us. So as well as this, I mean, not really helping. But Pain Reaver, Cloaked in Savagery, and Aspect of Carnage are in fact pretty huge. Yeah, we're using Mind over Matter to get about 2k in our mana pool, and we're using Arctic Armor to be able to mitigate physical and fire damage while we're channeling and leeching like mad. So this build has very high sustainability. As long as you're hitting something, you're going to be leeching, and as long as you're not getting one-shotted, which is going to be pretty hard with the mana and Mind over Matter and your big life pool, you should be just fine. Yeah, when it comes to the rest of the gems, we got Arctic Armor. It doesn't have to be Link, of course, but yeah, we got faster attacks, Fortify, and Leap Slam, so we're going to get our Fortify from Leap Slam. Another possibility is to use Flaming Dash with Arcane Surge as well, but in my setup, I'm using Orb of Storms, Arcane Surge, and Increased Duration over here to be able to proc our Arcane Surge. Now, you gotta make sure that Arcane Surge and Orb of Storm has their, you know, like, basically what happens with Arcane Surge, you get a more multiplier for your spell damage, but you gotta make sure that it spends 26 mana with the supported skills, so that Orb of Storms will, when the second it costs 26 mana, it will require only one use in order to proc Arcane Surge. That's basically the idea. And of course we link Increased Duration because we want the extra whatever seconds it provides us, 3 or so seconds of the Arcane Surge buff. It gives us more yeah, more multiplier, damage multiplier for our spells. Pretty cool stuff. Um, Over here I also got cast when damage taken, ball lightning, curse on hit, and defensively you can use enfeeble or temp chains. I feel like this character just like hardly ever dies again unless I get one-shotted. Um, I mean, doesn't really happen all that often. I did die a couple of times on this character, but I mean, it's very safe. So I'm using flammability to further reduce enemies' fire resists um, by 42% at level 18. I just noticed it doesn't have the quality, so let's increase its quality. Because why not? Ignite has 10% increased duration. And that's like pretty much it. That's the build. I mean, we got our avatar of fire that converts the damage, so we get pure fire. Whenever we crit, which happens like pretty much constantly, we get elemental overload, which is 40% more multiplier to elemental damage. And we can also proc that with Arcane Surge that tends to crit. Yeah, has pretty high crit strike chance with the Orb of Storms, and well, that's pretty much the build. We got increased duration. These nodes are actually very important because they will allow the duration to be increased of the Ice Storm. It will drop for a longer period of time. When it comes to flasks, we're using bubbling of staunching, bubbling hybrid to be able to bring some mana and some life back. Quicksilver of warding. We got a dowsing here to remove ignite, or you could use curing to remove poison. Alternatively, with the sulfur flask to increase damage. Wise oak to make sure that our fire resist is in fact the highest. We're going to be using the Wise Oak to further penetrate elemental resistance. When we pop this flask will penetrate the elemental resist of our highest uncapped resistance, which is always going to be fire. We gotta make sure that is the case. Normally you would need 109% elemental resistance total. If you want to do elemental weakness maps, but in this case, since we are using the Wise Oak, it's going to continuously buff our resistances, and this flask is pretty much always going to be up all the time, so we don't need to worry about that. We just need to basically have about 75 resist to all, or you know, around 80 or so, to be a little bit on the safe side. Couple of quicksilvers here, and yeah, that's pretty much the build. When it comes to leveling, I'll leave a link in the description of the written guide by Kelvin. It's the build I personally followed, and he details he shows in great detail the how to level the build and how things work, and it's pretty easy, pretty straightforward. The beautiful thing about it is that as soon as you level 39, you can switch to the Whispering Ice. This staff requires a low level, but you need level 39 for cast while channeling. So you could technically start using the staff from level 33, but cast while channeling requires level 39. So it's basically a breeze. I mean, leveling was a blast with this staff. You know, very fun and easy to level up with because of like the insane leech of the Marauder. We just got to make sure we don't have, you know, They just gotta make sure that we don't have elemental reflect. Other than that, this build can pretty much do every other map mod. Temporal chain is a little bit of annoyance. Yeah, that seems okay. Reflect physical. We'll just do one map for the sake of the video. Let's craft a couple of sextants here on this Spuda forest.
The mediocre turned remarkable. The mediocre turned remarkable.
Additional rare monsters, mirrored rare monsters, and extra fire damage. Sure. Magic pack size. Okay, let's do double breach. And let's go. I haven't played this for like a week or so, so I don't know, it might be a little bit rusty, but overall it's a very, very, very fun build. Okay, we're already like starting with a breach. The damage is quite awesome. You gotta make sure you have Arcane Surge up all the time. This build is just like melting. Again, it's not like, and the leech is, I mean, crazy. Very, very, very awesome. Now, one thing that I like, the disadvantage of this build, in my opinion, is that you can't use Bisco's Amulet, and it's kind of a big deal not using Bisco's. You know, because you're kind of like tied to the all attributes that the the requirement attributes that the Astromentus provides, as well as the intelligence. You know, that's kind of a lot of spell damage you will be losing if you're not using Bisco's Amulet. You're going to be, of course, early league this build will be awesome, but later on you might want to like switch to something that can use Bisco's. There's another breach. We're gonna do that breach as well. We're gonna call it just for the sake of the... I mean, it's just like super, super, super tanky because you leech infinitely. Very, very fun build to level up with. I mean, seriously, this was like one of my favorite leveling experience. And like your life are pretty much on full the entire time. Spamming flasks. This is an elemental weakness map, so you gotta make sure we got our Flame Surge up at all, Arcane Surge up at all times, as well as the Wise Oak. So yeah, fun, super fun. Like seriously, this build, I leveled up with it. It was a lot of fun. I did a bunch of maps with it, but kind of like deterred in the end because I could not do the whole Bisco's. Golem dies, but like my Golem is kind of like low level right now, so it'll die kind of regularly. When it comes to the Golem, use the Flame Golem for a little bit more damage. Of course, we're using Valpact, so Stone Golem is not going to do us any good. And yeah, see, incantation. These incantation drops, I already have a set of incantation, another staff that you can turn in. So yeah, this was the build. It's an excellent league starter. It might be my next league starter build. So who knows, man? Who knows? That leech, unless it gets nerfed, could get nerfed and then rip. So yeah, thing about like Fortify, I don't really use it all that often. I kind of forget to leap slam, and also leap slamming kind of stops your channeling. So it stops your leech, so it actually leaves you a bit vulnerable. Yeah, but yeah, these are really like the advantages. You can start leveling with this at level 39. You can do the entire story, super easy. Around level 60 or 50 or something, you get the Black Sun Crest. Astro Mentis you can use from level 20. So, all your dexterity, intelligence, strength requirements, you can say goodbye to that. And just make sure you stack a bunch of intelligence, craft your essences of spite for the belt. I hit a pretty good roll on this one, so pretty nice. And yeah, I think we went through everything. That was the guide. Thank you everybody for watching. See you guys on stream. I'm gonna leave a link to the written guide at the description. Make sure to follow, subscribe, and all that. I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching.